My name's Damian Magesta, and I'm the owner and founder of Bee Local. So I got started keeping bees about 5 years ago, and when my neighbor, we were talking, he lives across the street, and as we were talking, he said, I'm having a beehive delivered to my backyard, and I'd always wanted to keep bees. I was always really interested in it, but there was so much information to kind of digest, it just seemed a little overwhelming, right? And when he told me this, I was really excited. I was like, oh, I've always wanted to keep bees, that's fantastic, right? And he goes, well, I'll have my uncle bring you a beehive as well. I'm like, okay, great. That's primarily how I got started. So his uncle showed up, put the beehive in my backyard, and that one beehive turned into 6, which has turned into 30 some odd hives. So that's essentially how I got started. I first heard of the Small Business Clinic because of my work through some other nonprofits in town and social services. So I used to work for Central City Concern. I've worked for Multnomah County Developmental Disability Services and a few other kind of nonprofits. So when you work for those places, you need to know what resources are out there for people. So I always knew it existed, but I didn't think I would be accessing it. Specifically, we're looking at an issue of whether or not, and I'm trademarked in Oregon already, but I was specifically looking for issues with trademarks outside of Oregon. So there's a few little issues there that I kind of wanted to check out and get some advice on and what I should do. So what we're doing is we're going to work on the federal trademarking, and then we'll go from there and determine whether or not we need to pursue these other companies that may or may not be infringing on the trademark. I don't know how well known it is, but I kind of stumbled across it, and it's called Cake, and it's put together by 2 guys, and they do every Wednesday, I believe, they do a lecture that's donation based, and you go in and it's different topics on small business. They have some great speakers, people who are very knowledgeable in the industry, and that I highly recommend for small businesses. It's a very comfortable atmosphere. The guys are great. So that's one really good resource that I've used. My designer, Jeremy Ng, who did a wonderful job on the packaging and you know, my branding, we talk about this all the time, is that Portland is an incubator. It really embraces creativity and homegrown businesses. The community really kind of rallies around you and helps support you, and that's really been kind of amazing to see, and I think one of the more satisfying things. The other, of course, is making your own hours, but those hours can be very long and very difficult, but since it's your own business, it's worth it for sure. It feels like you're constantly leaping over hurdles and trying to figure out how to deal with things as they come in. Once you'll get to a point where you're like, oh, everything's just okay, all right, it's going, we're on autopilot here, and next thing you know, something else comes up. But that's what makes it fun. The challenge makes it fun. If it wasn't challenging, then it really wouldn't be worth doing, I think. A good friend of mine was executive chef for Tyler Florence, one of his restaurants in San Francisco, the Wayfarer. So via Twitter, I said, hey, look, this is what I'm doing. I'm a friend of Mike Tiemann's, you know, what do you think? And he's like, man, I think it's fantastic. I think it's just great. And I sent him the link to my site, and next thing I know, he tweets out to his 300,000 followers, you gotta check this out, this is fantastic, blah, blah, blah. And, you know, of course, hits on my site spiked and sales spiked up, and just to see that kind of thought leaders surround it and really understand what it's about is really, really, really satisfying. I mean, that makes me feel really good. Sure, there's a lot of people out there that are very helpful and supportive, but you need to be realistic. You need to protect your brand, yourself, and your business. And I can definitely say, for sure, moving forward, had I not been had I not made contact with the Lewis and Clark Small Business Clinic, that I would have done something somewhere along the line to really cause problems in the future. So yeah. You know more than anybody else what needs to be done. And there's going to be a lot of people that'll give you advice and, oh, you should do this, and, or you should do that, or, you know, listen to that advice, take it into account, but synthesize it and you know, put it together with what you know in your heart needs to be done, and move forward from your own kind of center. Don't give up. It's really important. Do not give up. It can be daunting, it can be challenging, it can be frightening. You really have to hustle, but just don't give up and do what you need to do.